Welcome back to the deep dive. We've all had those times, haven't we, those days, or maybe even longer stretches where everything feels a bit gray, where finding real joy feels like, I don't know, searching for something tiny in the dark. We tend to look for it in the big things, right? Promotions, amazing holidays, huge milestones. But what if some of the best sources of joy are actually sort of hiding right in front of us in the everyday? So today, that's exactly what we're diving into. Our source is, well, it's quite simple on the surface, but it offers this really powerful map. It's excerpts from a piece called A Prayer for Joy and Little Things. And it's not just something to read. It feels more like a guide, maybe, to figure out where and how we can actually find joy, especially when things feel heavy. It gives us this unique angle, a specific view we want to unpack together to see what practical things we can take away for your own life. The prayer starts with a line that, honestly, it hits home straight away. It sets this really personal, but also universal intention. It says, "Loving God, I come before you today, praying for joy in my life and in the lives of those around me." Okay, so let's unpack that opening bit. What jumps out at me is that dual focus. It's not just, I want joy for me. It's this bigger wish, asking for everyone else, too. It kind of frames joy as something shared, maybe? Interconnected.
Exactly.
It feels like a pretty powerful way to begin, don't you think? Wishing it for the whole community, essentially.
Oh, absolutely. That communal aspect right at the start is quite something. And psychologically speaking, just the act of asking for joy, making it this conscious, explicit thing, that's really significant.
Yeah.
It pushes back against the idea that joy just, happens to us passively when everything's perfect. Instead, it suggests joy is something you can actively go after and something you can cultivate, even pray for.
Yeah.
It implies we need to be proactive about our well-being. So voicing that desire intentionally like this, it acknowledges basic human need, and then it's this active step towards meeting it. For yourself and for others too. This intentional plea, it really sets the groundwork for figuring out how we actually find that joy.
And I love that it doesn't just leave us there with the request. That's what I find really compelling about what comes next. It pivots immediately, acknowledges something we all experience, hardship, and then points right towards a solution. The prayer goes on. Amid sadness and despair, help us to find joy in the little things in your creation and in the love of those around us. That phrase, amidst sadness and despair, that really catches my attention. It doesn't ignore the tough stuff, the suffering, the low points we all hit.
No, it faces it head on.
Yeah, and right there in that vulnerable spot, it offers these really specific paths, these sort of bright spots to look for. It's not just vague hope. It's like getting directions, Here's where to look.
Yes, and this connects so well with what we see in positive psychology around resilience, around coping mechanisms. What's really striking is how it moves past just asking for joy and gives a practical framework, a kind of how-to.
Right, a how-to.
Even when things are genuinely difficult, it doesn't just say find joy, it points very clearly. Look here in the little things, look here in creation, look here in the love of those around us. These categories are incredibly actionable. They give you real, tangible things to focus on. It's a way to shift your perspective, especially when you're caught up in sadness or despair. It grounds the whole search for joy, not in some abstract idea, but in everyday experience, in nature, in connection, which is, profoundly powerful. It's almost like an early form of cognitive behavioral thinking, isn't it? Suggesting where to redirect your attention.
And that, for you listening, that sets up our mission perfectly for this deep dive. We're going to unpack each of these pathways to joy, the little things, your creation, and the love of those around us. Our aim isn't just to talk about them, but to really dig into how they can lift us up, how they offer maybe not just comfort, but real shifts in how we see things, especially when we're dealing with those tough emotions.
Exactly. We want to pull out practical, usable insights from this prayer. We'll look at it not just as a religious text maybe, but as a kind of universal framework, something designed to help you find those perhaps overlooked sources of joy in your own life. We'll explore what each category really means, why they seem to work so well, and how you might actually apply them, even when, your first instinct is just to miss them completely.
Okay, so let's start with the first one, the little things. When the prayer asks us to find joy there, what are we really talking about? It's obviously not the big wins, right? It's got to be things like the warmth of a coffee cup on a cold morning.
Yeah, exactly.
Or that smell of rain on hot pavement. Or maybe just the way light hits dust in the air. Or, I don't know, finding the perfect avocado.
Yes. The small victories.
Right. things we so easily miss, just brush off as mundane. We rush past them, mind already on the next thing, the next worry. But this prayer says, hang on, these matter. They have this untapped power. Think about it. How many little things did you genuinely notice today? Really savor instead of just letting them fly by. This feels like an invitation to pause, doesn't it? To really look and appreciate. It's about being mindfully present.
It is, absolutely. And psychologically, focusing on little things is, well, it's a powerful counter-narrative to the constant message that joy only comes from big achievements or lots of stuff. This idea connects directly to the concept of savoring. There's research by Dr. Fred Bryant, who's a key figure in savoring research. He found something pretty amazing. Consciously appreciating a small positive thing like that coffee moment can actually lift your mood for potentially up to 24 hours.
Wow, really? 24 hours?
Yeah, much longer than the actual pleasure lasts. It basically helps rewire our attention, training the brain to notice and hold on to positive experiences. It's not about ignoring problems, but about building up this kind of emotional reserve.
That's incredible. So it extends beyond the moment. But okay, for someone really stuck in, say, sadness or despair, how do you even start to notice the coffee's warmth when everything feels bleak? What's the first step to just shifting that perspective, that filter that seems to block out the small joys?
That is such an important question. Because it's not always easy or intuitive, especially when your brain chemistry is leaning towards the negative during a tough time.
Right.
Often the very first step isn't even about feeling joy. It's about simply acknowledging the sensory input. Think of it as cognitive practice first, emotion second. You could try this. Pick just one small routine action, maybe drinking a glass of water or walking across the room. And for just that single action, try to engage all your senses. What's the temperature of the glass? How does the water feel? What does it taste like, sound like when you swallow? It's about building that muscle for paying deliberate attention.
Like a muscle.
Yeah. And over time, that conscious focus on things that are neutral or even just subtly pleasant can start to evoke more positive feelings.
Yeah.
It's training yourself to pause, even for a second, and fully experience what's right there.
I get that. It's practice, not flipping a switch. That feels more doable than just telling yourself, be happy. Okay, moving on. The prayer then guides us towards your creation. Now, this could mean many things, of course, but the most obvious interpretation points towards, well, nature. The natural world, the universe. And whether you're in a huge city or out in the middle of nowhere, creation is all around us, isn't it? It's that stubborn weed pushing through concrete, or the sheer scale of the night sky, or, the pattern on a leaf, or hearing birdsong unexpectedly in a park. These seem like universal things, available to pretty much everyone. And they often bring this sense of wonder or perspective, maybe feeling connected to something bigger.
That connects perfectly with the idea of biophilia, this innate human drive to connect with nature, with life. What's so insightful in the prayer is how it recognizes nature's power to soothe us, to inspire, even to humble us.
Right.
And if you look at the broader context, there are countless studies now in environmental psychology, even neurobiology, showing the positive impact nature has on our mental health. Think about Shinrin-yoku in Japan, forest bathing.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that.
It's not about hiking hard, it's just about being there, soaking it in. And research shows even short times doing that can lower blood pressure, cut down stress hormones like cortisol, and even boost your immune system by increasing certain cells, natural killer cells. It's a real physical benefit.
That's amazing, the immune system boost, just from being in nature. But what's the difference between just, noticing there's a tree outside your window and really connecting with nature in that restorative way the prayer suggests? How do we make that shift?
That's a great point. Passive noticing is okay, but the real benefits come from active engagement, from connection.
Okay.
And connection often means mindful immersion. So instead of just seeing the tree, it's about really noticing things like the texture of the bark, how the light hits the leaves, the way it moves, maybe even its smell. It's about letting your focus rest there, letting your mind quiet down a bit as you take in those details. Even if you're stuck inside or in a city, maybe you spend 5 minutes just observing a houseplant, really looking at it, or watching clouds change shape.
Right, accessible things.
Exactly. The goal is to consciously pull your attention away from the internal noise, the stress, and let the sort of natural order of the world recalibrate you. It gives you perspective, reminds you there's this enduring rhythm outside of our immediate worries.
That's a really useful distinction. We don't need a national park on our doorstep, just a moment of focused attention.
Okay, and the final pathway the prayer mentions is finding joy in the love of those around us.
Yeah.
This one feels, I don't know, incredibly basic in a good way. It hits on our deepest needs.
Fundamental.
It's about real human connection, right? Laughing with a friend, the comfort from family, maybe even just a kind word from a stranger that surprises you.
Yes.
Or that quiet understanding you have with someone you love, no words needed. This part reminds us joy isn't just a solo mission, it's tangled up with our relationships. And when we feel sad or despairing, the instinct can be to pull away, to isolate.
Definitely.
But the prayer pushes back gently saying, no, lean into those connections. Actively look for and nurture them.
Absolutely. And biologically, evolutionarily, this highlights our essential need to belong, to connect. Neuroscience shows that strong social bonds, they aren't just nice feelings. They actually light up the brain's reward centers, releasing chemicals like oxytocin, the love hormone.
Right, oxytocin. And oxytocin doesn't just make you feel bonded. It actively counteracts stress. It lowers cortisol, promotes calm.
Yeah.
Our ability to empathize, to care, to share experiences, it's one of our strongest defenses against feeling alone and hopeless. So the prayer isn't just saying be loved, it's nudging us to seek out and value these connections, and also, crucially, to give love and connection to.
The giving part.
Yes, that back and forth of care is vital. It builds a support system, reminds us we're not struggling alone. It's just joy often grows when we share it.
Yeah.
And that even when things are really tough, just the presence of others can be a huge source of strength, like a real physiological anchor.
A physiological anchor, not just emotional. That's powerful. But okay, leaning in like that when you feel low, when you feel like you might be a burden or just want to hide, that takes vulnerability, doesn't it?
It really does.
How do we get past that urge to retreat when connection is actually what we need most?
That's a huge hurdle. Yeah. And often it helps to reframe it. Instead of thinking you're taking something from others by reaching out, which is often the fear when you feel down, try seeing it as shared humanity.
Okay.
Often when we let ourselves be vulnerable and accept support, we're actually giving the other person a chance to be helpful, to express their care. It's a gift to them too, in a way.
That's a good way to think about it.
And it doesn't have to be a big dramatic thing. It could be just texting a friend, thinking of you, or a quick call, or even just sitting quietly in the same room with someone. The trick is to lower the barrier, make connection feel less like a performance and more like just gentle mutual presence. This builds up what researchers call social capital, that pool of support you can draw on and also add to. It's an investment, really, in everyone's resilience.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, let's just quickly recap these specific, really tangible paths to joy from the prayer. It guides us to look intentionally, doesn't it, in the little things, in creation, and in the love of those around us. So what's the big takeaway here for you, listening to this, dealing with your own life stuff?
For me, it really hammers home the idea of intentionality. Joy, according to this prayer, isn't just some random feeling that might show up if we're lucky.
Right.
It's something we can actively look for and find, even when things are tough, even amidst sadness and despair. It's more like a practice, a way of looking at and engaging with the world.
Exactly. And this framework taps into such timeless ideas about human well-being and resilience. What really comes through is this enduring wisdom. If we consciously shift our focus to these things that are actually available to us, simple pleasures, nature, connection, we can cultivate a deeper, more steady sense of joy.
It feels like a practical antidote to feeling overwhelmed by everything, reminding us that real contentment often lies not in huge, distant goals, but right here, in the present, in the tangible stuff around us. It's a nudge to be an active player in your own well-being, to train your focus on what lifts you, instead of just being carried along by circumstances. Which brings us to a final thought, maybe a question for you, the listener. Given that the prayer specifically asks for help finding joy amidst sadness and despair, how might deliberately looking for and appreciating just one little thing, or one moment in creation, or one instance of love around you each day, how might that actually start to shift your perspective? What small, maybe overlooked source of joy could you uncover? Not just when things are easy, but especially when you make a point of looking for it, even when facing your own challenges. Maybe that journey to finding more profound joy really does begin with just one single mindful breath, one chosen moment of appreciation.